Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for being here. I am Divine Femme Care at 144. Very happy and grateful and blessed to bring you this reading. This reading is going to be for those who have their sun sign in the zodiac sign of Taurus. This is not limited to those who have their sun sign in Taurus. Of course, if you have any Taurus energy in your birth natal chart and you find this message, welcome. This message may resonate for you as well. The tarot deck that I'm going to be using here is the Melanated Classic Tarot deck by Julia Julesby and Ubria Chancho. I'm going to be doing 8 cards for you, Taurus Suns. Normally I do 6. I've done a Celtic cross in the past as well. My reasoning, we have come into some really grateful and abundant energy. We're also in a very beautiful time right now. We just had a new moon that was in Taurus, and now we are in Taurus season, and we are also going to be seeing a solar eclipse with some good Taurus energy in that as well. So just wanted to do, I guess, a couple of bonus cards, and not necessarily bonus, but just to show a little bit of love to Taurus, to say thank you for the energy that you're providing. I do feel that everything happens for a reason. Shifts happen the way that they do. Everything in divine timing is beautiful the way it all plays out, and just want to give some extra love to Taurus. I'm going to go ahead and begin shuffling. So that may or may not resonate with some of you as well, just in general in your everyday life. You may be experiencing situations or people that may be wanting to show you a little bit more of appreciation and gratitude that you very well deserve. Thank you, Spirit. Do a couple more here and then split the deck. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is, I was visualizing 4 across the top and 4 going underneath on the bottom row. So we will do that and let's get the party started. I do not do reversals. Normally, this is the first card and it is in reverse. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this in reverse. If I get any other reverse, I'm just going to go with what I'm feeling and what feels right. I feel the need, and I felt it strongly, to not even try to flip. Like, my fingers didn't even go to flip this card as soon as I felt it and seen it. I do feel like this is speaking to the end of what you have been going through, and I don't see it as just one particular instance. I'm looking at this rain. And normally, if this were this way, the rain would be coming down. I do feel that this rain is being lifted up and away from any situations that have caused heartache, heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, anything that you have been experiencing that you were not expecting. I feel also too being taken away from situations, being lifted away from situations that no longer serve a purpose for you, they no longer resonate with you. They no longer vibe with you. It's not, I don't believe that this is something that you have been vibing with to begin with, but I do feel that they happen for the love and the lessons that were to come out of those situations. And they just happen to be some of the most heartbreaking and painful situations that you had to go through. And when I'm saying all this and channeling, I'm seeing the three energy. Overall, I'm just hearing that you're always loved and you're always protected, and spirit always is there for you and has your back. Nothing that you are going to come across is anything that you cannot handle, and I think you know this, and are quite aware of the strength that you have, that you continue to learn about as you continue to move forward on your journey. And I do feel that you're going through cycles. You have gone through some cycles that had to deal with third-party situations, possibly because of things that may have happened in the past. And when we say the past, sometimes people tend to think in situations relevant to maybe what they have just experienced. I think overall, you may have forgotten about some stuff too. And I think these situations that have recently happened have helped you to reflect on situations that have happened like way back in the past. So much so that you were in a particular place way back in the past without really realizing that type of energy that you may have been giving back then. And now going through these situations just recently is helping you to see why things may have been coming full circle in this manner for you. And definitely for you, not to you. Okay, and I'm gonna just make sure we got enough room for 4 cards here. And if I'm feeling anything off of that, I'm not. So we'll go ahead and go on to the second card. So the second card, we have the Hangman. This is a 12, which breaks down to a 3. This is another 3. So you may be seeing a lot of 3s. 333. The time, 333. You may be doing things in 3s, speaking in 3s, grouping in 3s. Just overall, there's a strong action of 3, with 3s being the first 2 cards coming out and going into the 3rd card. I wonder what that number will be. That's interesting. But with the 12, I do feel, even before we break it down to a 3, is a very powerful energy. 1, because it involves a 1, it involves a 2. 1s, speaking of new beginnings coming from endings. And then the 2 almost like is like a catalyst of the 1 that moves us into a 3 position. And so with this Hangman position, I do feel that there is some like a pause that's taking place that is necessary in order to completely heal from what has passed and been taking place in your life. And so with this Hangman position, it's just kind of a time where I think you have realized how hurtful and how painful these situations really are, because I feel like it's not just 1. I'm seeing these 3 swords. I don't see these as 3 individual people. I'm seeing these as like three situations that have been painful and heartbreaking and have been either consecutive or they've come pretty much like all damn near the same time. And so having gone through this situation and getting over this, I think this is definitely like a big, huge pause for you to kind of hang yourself from this bark of a tree here and take some time for yourself. Put the love into yourself that you may have been exerting in situations a little bit too much. I think this whole energy right here is just almost not necessarily forcing you, but really putting you in this place to where almost like you don't ever want this to ever happen again. And so you're really taking a pause to say, hey, I know I've been doing some work in the past. I've been doing great work in the past. I wouldn't be brought this far to be led astray. I think you are finding that the common denominator in these situations, and that's what I was speaking on, like going way past, like, you know, a recent past, like a couple years, 3 years, whatnot. Like this is like decades. And not even that, I would say a decade, depending on your age. But just a little bit further back than what you would normally expect to consider being a past. And I think with this pause here, you're actually being enlightened into, like, it's really helping you to reflect, and there's this energy that's bringing about, I think, like, you could be somewhere and then something will happen or you'll see something and it will trigger a memory for you. And I think this triggering is of memories that have been like pushed like way within. And these things are coming up to the surface for you to work on so that these things, these situations, these swords type energies do not happen again. The rain being lifted away, I think that brings clarity. This is leading into that clarity here that's coming in for you. And then with the purple here, we have third eye and crown chakra energy. Oh, I'm making a new language. That's awesome. And then also too, I'm noticing like there's like a matchy energy, but the only thing missing in this card here is the sun. Like I see this as the sun, like happiness and joy because of what is being brought to light for you, because of the reflecting that you're being able to work on now that you've gotten a lot of other things out of the way. It's like a good extra clearing. Like say, you know, like, I don't know, how do I explain it? Like you go through, let's say we go through a car and we clean it. But then like say like a couple weeks or months or whatever later, something happens with the car where it needs to go in. And after you get your car back, you realize, oh, it still needed a little bit more clean. Like there was still some things that needed to be, like a little bit of gunk that probably didn't make its way out. And so I do feel like that this is this phase here that's happening after we've had this Three of Swords energy take place, now coming away from that. And too, as I was saying, like the we have the red and the red here, we have the blue and the blue here, and those both make purple. So that's the blending of these energies, I feel, with the throat chakra energy and then root chakra energy. This is more of an ancestral breaking of toxic cycles. So things that you may have been learning from family or let's say friends, neighborhood type energy, like that. Things that you were considered to a certain way you were supposed to be. And I think with these cycles, this is helping you to realize that that's really not you, and you haven't really been you the way that you thought that you could be you this entire time. With that said, also with this connected to the blue and the throat chakra energy, I do feel that this is leading into that expression, this enlightenment on the lack of expression or lack of fulfillment that's been in your soul. that you really have not been going towards your true soul's purpose the way that you thought you have. Maybe there were things that you were told that you had to do in order to get to A, B, or C. Or in order to live this kind of life, you have to do this. And I think this has a lot to do with this enlightenment as well. This could have been dealing with family situations as well. And kind of breaking away from what you knew to be your family. Realizing that they're still all kind of, stuck in that old traditional way of being that really just keeps going in a circle. You're done being in that circle and coming away from that. And this is you in that hangman position. So I hope that makes sense. I spent a lot of time on that second card to explain that in more than one way, but I do hope that that makes sense. And then overall with the three energies that we have, the three and then the three, it's a connection for me of mind, body, and spirit. And then the deep connection with the divine, having hands all over this, being a part of this regardless. And so let's go, with that being said, into the third card here. Now this was in reverse. Yeah, and I'm feeling that too. And so this is the Wounded Warrior card. I think for the rest of these cards too, I'm gonna, if they're in reverse, we're just gonna leave them because this is speaking a message specifically, so that it's clear. With this being a 9, 3 times 3 is 9. So I think this might speak to the level of intensity of these first two cards, and with them being the first two cards leading into this Wounded Warrior card, the 9 of Wands. This is fire energy. Oh, and also too, I didn't mention with the Swords energy, we have Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. That may be significant in family, friend relationships, work relationships as well. Just keep that in mind. Dealing with intellect and communication, business, and, with the intensity of the heart, their romantic relationships. But with the 9 of Wands in reverse, I do feel that this hangman energy is helping with this being in reverse. Normally, if this were upright, it's speaking to someone feeling wounded, almost like a victim. As they're looking over here at 5 of Wands energy, holding on to an Ace of Wands, with the other side here being a 3 of Wands, manifesting energy, which would be another 3. So technically we do have another 3 coming after the 3 here and the 3 here. And so with that said, and with this being in reverse, I do feel like the victimization of oneself is over. I think that the mentality with this hangman energy is changing the energy of feeling like a victim, feeling like I would just say like changing your overall mentality and what you see on the outside, because you're changing what you feel and what you see on the inside. So there may have been a point where with this situations, this 3 of Swords energy, that one was feeling like they were always on the attack, like they were being attacked, and we create what we speak, what we see, what we feel, what we think. And so I think also too, with this hangman energy, that we're coming away from that. We're coming away from being a victim and becoming a victor. Winning over our lives and being the change that we want to see. And I think you're seeing that a lot of this may have had to deal with what was going on in your soul, in your head. And it starts with you, the common denominator. And so I think that as we move forward with this 9 being in reverse, that is speaking to how we are coming away from possibly a negative mentality, pessimism, having the possibility, and you may not have been pessimistic. You may have been doing a lot of good work where you are on a positive vibe. But as I was saying, with being in this hangman position, there may have been some triggering things that you found out were still kind of lingering within that you still needed to work on, that you still needed to recognize, you still needed to see and feel what certain situations meant to you and why they were happening that way. And I think it has a lot to do with what was still lingering. And I do feel that this also has to deal with things that may have happened in your childhood, and how you were received, how you were accepted, how you were treated, how things just kind of manifested themselves as you continue to grow and get older. And seeing that, you know, if you're not really seeing a 5 of Wands energy and you're seeing, let's say, you know, say those 5 wands turn into 5 flowers. And so instead of, you know, seeing, you know, a combative or a competition, or, you know, just something that's just not of a high vibration, you are turning that into something that actually has potential to grow something productively. You're being more proactive about your mental state, realizing this after you've come from quite a bit of heartache and hurting. No longer wanting to hurt anymore, and doing the best that you can to receive the messages that are necessary for you to move forward successfully. And so too with this 9 of Wands being in reverse, and while you're still holding on to that Ace of Wands, the Ace of Wands potential is always there. It's there because you're holding it. But I do feel with this being in reverse, that 3 of Wands energy is even closer to you. So putting the victimization behind, you're able to bring more of an energy that's going to help you to be able to manifest even better and even quicker. Wands energy, Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. So that may be significant in your chart somewhere. But the abundance is here. The bright days, the happy times. I mean, we've got the emanation of the sun here, and then we've got the blue skies with the clouds. The greenery, speaking of being grounded. I think you're just overall taking this, again, that victimization attitude and becoming a victor, which is leading and going to lead you to more success. The 4th card, we have the 6 of Pentacles. Now, when I see this, I see an ending to breadcrumbing. And because this is coming after the 9 of Wands, which is in reverse, I do feel that this 9 of Wands energy, when it was in an upright position, that you're getting over this, not feeling like anybody, like you're no longer blaming anybody, is what I'm seeing here. You may have been breadcrumbed before, and there's an ending to this. Now that we have enlightenment, we're seeing the things that need to be worked on. And I feel like this is one, you know, like almost like you have a checklist and you're working your way through this very meticulously. You have figured it out. You have allowed yourself to be open to the universe, and you're receiving those gifts that you need. You are taking notes. You're being very obedient and still about it. And again, very meticulous on how you are handling these situations. And I do feel it has a lot to do with your mental state, your third eye and crown chakra energies, and how you are utilizing that. No longer being a victim, but being a victor, and no longer feeling like you are getting breadcrumb, because at the end of the day, people are going to make their choice. And I do feel that with this blue here, that this is possibly you in that situation. And with this energy over here, it's almost like inherited. I don't know where I'm getting that. Possibly with the just the overall yellow and being wrapped in, like, even though they're in the same situation, same state, I feel like this, because of what may have been on the outside, this is why there was breadcrumbing and imbalance here. And why this person here may have gotten more. And I think this is in speaking on that, I'm noticing that I'm speaking on like any kind of thing where there was like a competition or you had to do something in order to receive, and you're seeing that that's a bunch of boo-boo. And so I think you're getting past all of this because these two cards are in reverse. This is a card of 6-2. I do feel that there was some kind of stance of unconditional love, possibly a promise that was made. But as you can see, the green is actually in their feet. The green needs to be up here in the heart area, and it's on their feet. So it's like almost like the love that was being offered and being received was being stepped on and not really being paying attention to, because there's too much crowding around with the pentacles here and not really paying attention to what is to be paid attention to in order for there to be balance. Total imbalance there. But I do feel that you are getting over this and not necessarily blaming anybody, realizing that whoever this is in that particular situation, that was their power to choose. That was their free will. And that's the choice that they made. That's the choice that they have to deal with. That's the choice that they have to live with. You, I feel, being in this state and realizing the imbalance, and this, you know, definitely being one of those situations. This situation happened for a reason. It helps everybody involved. And this could be in family, this could be in relationships, this could be in work, this could be all of them. But I do feel that this, because this blanket is blue and also connected to throat chakra energy, that this is dealing with you being provided a situation that's going to help you with your expression, with you being yourself, with you being your true self in front of everyone, now that you've been enlightened and unafraid, because you're woke and you're realizing the amount of love and protection that you have. But just being able to also be yourself. This has helped you to know who you are, to know what you want and what you don't want, and to also be able to even better express yourself and to speak up for yourself in situations that may seem unfair, that are imbalanced, or just being able to gain the strength to be able to walk away from situations that don't serve you. This is Earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And so this particular individual may have strong earth in their chart. I feel everyone in this card has a good amount of earth energy in your chart. Especially you, Taurus, here. We have Pentacles here. So we have a little bit of everything so far, except for the Cups energy. So we'll see what happens as we go forward onto the 5th card. Yes, the Knight of Wands. And I'm almost beginning to feel that if you were connected to someone, this wounded warrior energy. I do feel the connection. Both of you were assigned to work together, whether that be in spirit or in physical or in both. But to get over any kind of victimization, to work on what it is, your wounded warrior, whatever your Chiron is in your birth chart, that is speaking to the wounded warrior energy. And so it's where you have a trait, because Chiron was able to heal others, but he was not able to heal himself. And so with this Knight of Wands and having this energy of this Ace of Wands in their hand, and I was speaking on that here, this definitely, I do feel this is an energy of both of you as well, if you are feeling this with a connection with someone else. And with this falling under the Three of Swords in reverse, I do feel that this Knight of Wands energy is speaking to a new beginning, the onset of something fiery and passionate. But I do also feel that this may have been an energy of someone who was very in and out, who would come in and have, I mean, it was, you know, you couldn't deny the feelings and the overall passion that I feel kind of took over the both of you. The Knight of Wands, I do feel like this is the start of a new beginning. After it's coming from these two cards in reverse and with this being upright. And I only speak to what may be coming to an end as far as this energy is concerned, where it may be the opposite and who you're connected to, because it's coming underneath this Three of Swords in reverse, if that makes sense. So overall, I definitely see this as speaking to beginning something new in a very fiery and passionate way. I'm going to move that so it's not shadowy. But also needing to go back, just like I said with this Hangman position, needing to go back and kind of doing it full force in a way so that you can get this taken care of as soon as possible in the most efficient manner that's necessary for you on your path. Wands energy is Sagittarius, Leo, Aries. And then the plume was sticking out quite a bit. I'm getting a tie with Egyptian ancestry. So while we may be taking some things back quite a bit to elaborate and to figure out and work on what still needs to be worked on within us, I do feel as this action's being taken to do that, you're finding some pretty extensive information. Horses may be significant, and maybe, and now oh, wow, I just noticed this too. These pyramids right here. I didn't even see those until just now. But yeah, that would definitely speak to the plume energy that I was getting, where I got the Egyptian ancestral ties. But going full force into this, and I do feel there is some deep diving as well. And I think with this new beginning, I want to say that it's heavily tied to a connection that comes from that far back. A connection, an Egyptian connection between two people that is pretty strong. It's not of a typical conversation or anything for that matter. I feel like very few know about this. Very few feel this kind of connection. This is quite rare, this connection that I'm getting. And seeing the Knight of Wands and the tattering of the cloth, to me, it just speaks of how far this knight possibly has had to go and what they've been through. And another reason why that would be under the Three of Swords in reverse. This could also, too, be an uncovering of this type of behavior. And when I say behavior, I'm speaking of the energy of the Knight of Wands coming in and out, coming and going, being there at one moment and then instantly changing their minds. I think with that rain being lifted and the clouds being above this, that this is actually brightening up and coming to light. It's coming, like this would, almost like this particular individual would be hiding behind this because there's so much of it. And as Spirit is raising the reins, if that makes sense, it's becoming more clear what that common denominator is, what that it's just it's an overall uncovering. And I do feel like with a new beginning, things were coming to light on certain situations, and maybe that's why I'm feeling a connection of two, where someone you're connected to has a totally different energy with this card, whereas you with this energy, this is speaking to definitely of a new beginning. I feel that is highly and heavily related to an Egyptian connection. And I hope that makes sense. All right, let's see what the 6th card is. Wow. The Page of Wands in reverse. I'm hearing immature energy overall. Because we have the Knight of Wands and then the Page of Wands, and it's like a decreasing. It's like, just as I was saying, like an uncovering of the behavior. This is the uncovering of that behavior, and this is the Page of Wands in reverse. So it's almost like things that are being said or things that have been promised that weren't followed through. And I do feel that it is a testament to a dishonoring of a past lineage. This person could be, we have fire energy, but this is totally separate outside of you. I feel, and I'm starting to see too, that this whole top row is more of your energy. I do feel, depending on what these last 2 cards are, that the last 2 cards are going to be representative and completion of a total separate energy that you are connected to. But you are emanating and mirroring an energy because you're both connected, I feel. And so I would say that this Knight of Wands is leading out this way. There's an uncovering of behavior from this Knight of Wands, but also speaks to a new beginning for you. With that being a new beginning and speaking of a fiery, passionate thing that you want to do coming from these situations and wanting to move away from them, there's reflection, going back into the past to get what it is that you need to gain, to be able to overcome these situations, to be able to overcome an immature energy here, with this being in reverse. And underneath the Hangman, this, like the lighting of the crown chakra and the third eye energy. Like, I think just because you've come into your own power, it's put more light onto the details of what you've really been dealing with, and it may not have been so clear for you in the past. And so as you've done the work for yourself and are getting over things and coming into a new beginning, it's like almost like causing a change in a connection that you've had with someone else. And given that this Knight of Wands, it's almost like the Page of Wands energy is here in reverse in this manner. This could be dealing with, like, you know, just as I said, like promises that were made. Just, it's like a immature way of communicating, messaging, speaking on any kind of stability where it turns out to not be so. It wasn't followed through. Wands energy is dealing with structure, matters of the home. This could also be dealing with things in the community, how one person is actually being seen. And it's possible that, you know, they could have been representing themselves as the King of Wands, but this is actually what is coming about because we have the Knight and the Page right next to each other. I do feel too, with this being your energy coming from a Knight of Wands who's in a new beginning and starting something passionate and fiery, that there's an immature energy that may be in trying to, like, in front of you, be in front of you and block your way with their wand. But it's in reverse. And what, you know, what comes up must come down. What's in reverse must come, you know, back up, right? If that makes sense. Just to say that this is obviously not behavior of the highest good and can only last so long. And so I do feel while this energy is taking place in that manner, with this, you know, you encompassing this Knight of Wands energy and starting something new, that's speaking to that Hangman position where you're having to go back into the past to do more work for yourself. So while this energy here may be thinking that they're doing something, almost like they feel like, you know, the attention is on them when it really isn't, there's a focus here of, you know, doing some work. You're in Hangman position, continuing to do your work for yourself. As within, so without. And you know this, rather than exerting yourself outside of yourself to see results, you're going within. And going within with the fiery, a good fire behind you to help you and propel you. And I do feel it has to deal with Egyptian type energy. And so coming from this Page of Wands in reverse, and this being underneath that Hangman, like I said, that's just lighting up and bringing to more light the situation of for what it really is. Your hands are behind your back, you know, you're standing in a pose, not even standing, hanging in a pose to pretty much show, you know, where you're at and then where this energy is at. Like if you don't move and you're just still, how do I want to say that? You know, things are, the things that are still moving while you're still are going to continue to move in a way that's going to show just that. Very abundant too, but I feel there's a whole lot of lack of emotion there and care. It's just dry desert that they're connected to. And with this being in reverse also too, I'm seeing these as almost like being dumped over, like out of time, or feeling like they're out of time. And so moving in this energy, almost like in like desperation. It's a lot of fire energy with the cards that we have out so far. So this could be strong, very strong Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, or a combination of all three, or, you know, 1 to 2. But some very, very strong fire energy. We need some cups. Let's see. Ooh-wee. Yeah. This is definitely, I do feel that this is definitely speaking to the bottom row of a particular individual and energy. But because it's connected to you, there's a mirroring here. I just think that you're possibly a little bit further ahead in your path. And the work that you're doing is putting light to all of this. And it's helping everybody. Because even the actions that are taking place down here are helpful as well, even though they don't seem like it, but they are. So with this in and out energy that we were speaking of, the behavior of making promises, saying things that we don't mean, or, you know, possibly saying some things that aren't nice, doing things in a way where there's blockage and one's feeling out of time, so they're, you know, doing what they can in desperation. With the Wounded Warrior energy card being up here, the Chiron card, Nine of Wands card in reverse, everything we were speaking to about competition, being all over that, just being totally over any kind of thought process that may have to deal with that, feeling like you have to, you know, do something in comparison to another. You're seeing your value and your worth and realizing the power of the 3 and how you don't have to do that. The power of the 12 as well. But we have the Lovers here, so someone made a choice that was not a good choice, with the Lovers being here in reverse. Overall, the Lovers energy is about a choice. It is very similar to the Devil card as well. And I will say we have another 6. So those are 2 6s that we have here. We have multiples of 3, 6, and 9. So those are powers in 3s. We're working in 3s. This whole reading so far has us in the power of 3. That might be the title. But with the Lovers underneath the Wounded Warrior, I do feel that it's possible this Knight of Wands is actually, just as I said, you're going back in the past and, you know, gaining what you need, the tools that you need that's actually helping you to get over this and helping you with your mentality and your mental state, knowing your worth, realizing you don't have to be in a competition, and that you're closer to manifesting when you actually take care of yourself and focus on yourself and realize your worth and that you don't have to do anything in order to receive. I feel whoever it is that you may be connected to is seeing as you're doing this, and not really, they're seeing it, but they don't want to see it. It's almost like they're running away from it, the choices that they've made. And it's possible, too, that they may not be running away, but they may be going back into their past as well. There may be some of these situations that help them to trigger certain memories or certain things about themselves that they want to go back into the past and work on as well. And this just could be, you know, an overall energy where it just feels so that they don't even want to look at it themselves. But with the Lovers, I do feel like this was a third-party type situation where someone was possibly chosen because of, again, what it looked like. Because it's all pretty and colorful in this card, and, you know, we go with what feels right. But we also know deep within us the right things to do and the right choice to make. And with this being in reverse, I do feel that there was an instinct of what was right and what was wrong. And this was made a choice anyway, even though it felt more, not necessarily wrong, but just felt more of the thing to take part in versus possibly choosing you. It could also be, too, that a choice that was made for a soulmate that was not you, the situation is now over. Also, when I was speaking on there being blockage as well, this could also speak about blocking and not wanting a particular person to see what has been taking place. I'm gonna go grab my tea real quick. I'll be right back. BRB. Hope that wasn't too long. Sorry. I had to take my stuff and making some tea. But I think that's all that I was getting from the Lovers being in reverse. I do feel that with that being under the Nine of Wands as well, with this being a 6 and with this being a 9, the 3 is missing. 3's also, to me, 369 speaks of friendship. And so without that 3 there, without that mind, body, and spirit, without that divinity connection, I think this is where the overturning of these cards came in. Yes. And bringing us closer to the 3 of Wands here, where that 3 of Wands is closer to that Hangman. And feelings that were possibly there in the beginning, you know, some things coming to light as time moves forward. And we have the time moving forward, time going, seeing what does not work and what we don't want, so that we can take some pause time and move towards change and what it is that we do want. It's also possible, too, that this Knight of Wands energy is a little bit stuck in the past and not really wanting to work on these situations quite yet. So let's see what the 8th card is. Yeah. And I'm definitely going to see what's on the bottom. Because I do feel that this just kind of all speaks to the energy of this Knight of Wands. And with the Page of Pentacles being under the 6 of Pentacles, that's 7 of Pentacles, that's patiently waiting. There's been some patience here. And I do feel that with these 2 cards overturned in what I do deem to be your row, that your patience has just worn thin, and this is even more why you're in this Hangman position, why all eyes are on you. If you notice, the cards that we do have that are upright are you, and then we have this particular individual. Also speaking to the passionate energy that you are putting and utilizing for yourself into a new beginning because of these experiences. So we could say, I mean, this is quite a bit, just to show the amount of, and this probably isn't even close to any and all of what you have experienced all together. I feel like this is probably like an 1/8 of what you have experienced. And this is just from this reading, I do feel is from one particular situation. But like I said, with these 3 swords, I do feel like these are different situations and not necessarily people. Even though we could say, given the evidence that we have here, that this was a 3 of Swords energy where someone has chosen someone over you, and it did not work out. It was proven to be not. As you continue to sit still, the light, I feel it just shines even brighter on what was being done behind closed doors, what was being done in the dark. And so with the Page of Pentacles here in reverse, this was reminding me of the Page of Wands when I was speaking on promises that were being made. This is another promise. I do feel this was a promise of stability, a promise of a gift, and not even a promise. I do feel, you know, that this was a contract where one person agreed to do their part when it came down to it. And another person agreed to do their part when it came down to it. And not everybody did their part when it came down to it. And this is what is being brought to light. This Page of Pentacles has everything to do with your stability, or had everything to do with your stability at one point. But I do feel like, you know, that situation took place in order to help you to become even stronger, to realize that any kind of codependency was not healthy, not just for you. It wasn't healthy for anybody that was involved. And so I think that's one of the things that you were working on as well, was no longer being dependent on, you know, other people or anything outside of you and promises made or what someone was saying to you. Not giving the benefit of the doubt so easily, and learning how to love yourself. I think from all of this is what those main three things you have gained from these situations, but also too, whoever it was that you're connected to in this Knight of Wands energy was almost refusing to look at any of this. And if we can't look at it and if we don't address it, then how are we going to move forward and work on it in a positive way? So that there's closure, and that so people can, you know, take their horse and move forward in the right direction. But again, it's possible that this Knight of Wands energy is going back into a little bit further times to do some reflection, some self-reflection, to do some inner work, possibly to get some healing that's going to help them step by step to deal with these decisions that they've made. And so I feel like with these two being up here, when I do feel like they, you know, should probably go in this row as well because they're in reverse. These were the main two situations that you were here to deal with in your purpose. So I would say, you know, coming away from victimization, feeling like you are in a competition, or being, you know, not even feeling like you're in a competition, but possibly feeling like you are always put in competitions. Being further away from your manifestation, you possibly, you know, hadn't even realized the power that you had or what you were able to do or what you've been doing this whole time. And that's been brought closer to you because you've made the change with this victimization. And then also with the breadcrumbing, you have, you know, no longer decided to put yourself in situations where you're in comparison, where anybody is to be over you saying what you get and what you don't get. You can get what you want for yourself. We're all here as, you know, unique, innately made people who all have a strong power within ourselves. And if we're given an opportunity where, you know, it might be deemed that one person has a certain stature over another, but no one's really over anybody. God provides to us and gives us the positions that we have in order to be able to help others and not hold it over someone or hold it against someone to make us look like we're superior to anybody who isn't given that position, because God can take that position from us and give it to that person just like that. And that's the bottom line there. And so I think the lesson is there for both of these individuals, both you and whoever it is that you're connected to, when it comes down to it. And this Knight of Wands, this is being brought to light, possibly, you know, for them to work on this, but for also so things can get moving, and so that things can be turned up right and things can be done in the right way. Now that we know what we don't want, what we are moving away from, we know what we do want, and it doesn't have anything to do with these reversals. Let's see what the bottom of the deck is. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Come on, Taurus. Shoot. This is a good card. This is a good card because, and I wish I could, let me see. We'll try to squeeze everybody in. I'm guided to put that up there because it is the Ten of Wands. It comes after the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands is in reverse. And just as I was speaking on moving forward before I turned this over, we're wanting to, see have things brought to light. If there were secrets, if, somebody wasn't saying, or expressing, this is being brought to light so that these things can be worked on and so that we can move forward to do the things that we are here to do on this earth, because we are here to do things that are productive, that are to be helpful, that are to help others be empowered and uplifted so that we can all be happy. That's the goal. Happiness, joy, abundance, sharing, caring. Because not one person is given more than any. We are all here given exactly what we need. We always have what we need. So with the 10 of Wands here, I would say that this is like the ultimate. Like, this is success to me. I'm seeing this as success. These wands have been transmuted. The negativity has been overturned. And these wands, I feel like with this one particular